are back with another wonderful, fabulous, marvelous Marvel video. And in this video, I honestly don't know how long this one will be. This is kind of off the dome, off the cuff, off the top of the, I can't think of another adjective to talk about my brain right now. So this one is just kind of talking about Gambit, who apparently NetEase just can't figure out, they genuinely just can't figure out how to nerf him correctly, because he's been nerfed 4 times and he is still permabanned, because once again, the thing that makes Gambit broken is his ultimate. It is astonishing that they have not figured that out. So this is how they properly nerf his ultimate. They got 2 paths. If they want Gambit's ult to be the jambalaya where it does everything, it has everything in it, it can do everything, then it needs to be extremely short. And when I say extremely, his ult needs to be 5 or 4 seconds. 5 at the absolute longest, but 4 seconds is ideally. It is very quick, it is very short, but it is a very explosive, burst. An extremely explosive burst of damage that doesn't last long, that is meant to overturn a fight instantaneously. It is not meant to, because previously the problem was it was meant to not only overturn a fight, but it's also supposed to prolong, like, it was to overturn a fight and last longer than every other support ult, so it was going to win the fight. Like, it was ultimately, you throw, if you threw a support ult, they threw a support ult at the same time, you can kill their support ults through Gambit ult. That is like, so like, you just lost almost every single time you went against Gambit. If it was Gambit v Gambit, the Gambit who ulted second would always win, because all they had to do was wait like 2 or 3 seconds, ult, and then their team would have, it was just, if they made it last 4 seconds and returned all his neutral to him, he would still be very good. I don't think he would be permabanned. I think people would still ban him. But the fact that his ult would be 4 seconds would genuinely, like, he wouldn't be permabanned anymore, I can tell you that. Because it's just like, just a quick burst. Like, 4 seconds goes by so fucking fast. Like, it's genuinely like 4 fucking seconds for an ultimate. It is like, Gambit never folds. Ultimate's over. Like, it's like that. Actually, hold on. I have my goddamn phone right here. So because it happens the moment it says Gambit never folds, right? So theoretically, we said Gambit never folds. Ult's over. Like, ult should be 4 seconds. And the reason it should be 4 seconds is, like, it means when you Gambit ult, your team must already be engaged in the fight. Because the thing you could do right now, and of course before the 2-second nerf they gave it, is you can ult pre-fight, and then by the time your team gets to the fight, you still have 7 seconds left to Gambit ult, which is like insane. So like, you ult around the corner, then your team goes around the corner, and then they engage before, like, you can pop Gambit ult before your team ever engages, and then your team goes in. However, if they theoretically did this nerf, you could literally only Gambit ult while your team is in mid-combat, which is a dangerous proposition, because it is, like I said, they have to all be in front of you, all be engaged in active combat, which means if you Gambit or fold, someone dies instantaneously or something like that, it becomes a bit more dangerous, as well as other support ults can outlast it, but they could just kill, like, you can Gambit ult, if you do it properly, you can just kill through it. But it makes it so you have to use everything, like, quick. Like, it requires some real coordination. You can't just, like, now where you just, like, you Gambit ult Star-Lord ult, and then Star-Lord just kills everybody because he has Gambit ult his entire ult. Now Star-Lord would only have Gambit ult for 4 of the seconds, and then he would go back to normal after that. So it would take some real, like, some real strategy to try to get the most effective use out of this 4-second ultimate that is extremely short, and the enemy team can very easily now just kind of, like, if they hear Gambit never folds and they just walk backwards and make you take an extra second, that would be so fucking big, because now it's 3 seconds. It's just like, now it's 2, now it takes longer. Now it's like, I do think, like, if they want to keep it the jambalaya, I think it should be 4 seconds. It should last 4 seconds. Ideally, the longest it should last. It shouldn't last. It's 5 seconds. I think 4 seconds would be perfect. I don't think you would get permaban. It would be an extreme, like I said, extremely short ult. You can kill everything, but you have to be more efficient with it, more tactful, right? Where like you have to use it quick and be like, all right, use it. That's almost what you would have to do, kind of, sort of, is to get the most out of it, is have your teammates ultimate first, and then you ult while they're mid ult to get the most effective use out of it. That essentially would be what you would have to use it for. But kind of at the same time, if they are ulting, like if Star-Lord is ulting, the issue is like most likely they're going to be like they might either all be dead, they might be hiding, maybe they support ult to counter it, and then you Gambit ult at the end. But like it will be interesting. There'll be some finagling to try to get like the most optimal Gambit ultimate. But like I said, at the same time, this leaves Gambit vulnerable, because if the enemy team is ulting and then you ult while Gambit ult, now all of a sudden Gambit's ult's not like, I do think there would be some intricacies with it. I think there would be some interesting little tidbits, some little nuggets I think will be found with a 4-second ultimate. Instead of, like I said, now 10 seconds or it's 8 seconds, pop his ult before you engage in a fight, you kill the entire team and you go. Now it's like, oh, we got to do like a little bit of communication, a little bit of like, all right, how many seconds are left in your ult? 4 seconds. All right, I'm gonna pop it at the end of it. Tell me when you have 4 seconds left in your ult, and then I'm gonna pop it. Or tell me when your ult's almost over, and then I pop it so you can get the damage boost, because it doesn't last that long, right? You can't use it to start engagements. I think the 4 second, what it would do is you wouldn't be able to use it to start engagements, but you would be able to use it to finish like any fights, is essentially the Gambit's ult would be like the finisher. Instead of right now, it is not only the cake, it's also the icing and the cherry on top. Instead, it would really and truly just kind of be like the icing or the cherry on top. Where if your team is like, if it's of course, if it's close, or it's like, you know, the neutral's going well, both of your teams are pretty even, it's going to tip the scales in your favor. But if your team is overwhelming them, then it's like, you don't use it, which means you save it. And I think there would be intricacies with it that I think would add a little bit of a layer to it, and especially make a bigger gap between good Gambits and bad Gambits. Even though there already is a gap, it would make a bigger gap, especially having a 4 second ultimate. And it's extremely strong, but like stupendously short. Fuck, they can make it 3 seconds low key. Like, it has to be extremely short if they want to have it be jambalaya. Or number two, if they want to keep it, if they want to have it be duration, here's some other stuff. They can bump it back up to 10 second duration, but instead, Gambit's ult, remove the healing entirely. So what it does is you pop it, it heals all your allies to full instantaneously. However, after that, there's no more healing in the ult. It's just like, it is a completely offensive ult. You get a one-time full heal. So let's say, you know, Groot's at 1 HP, you pop ult, Groot gets up to 800, he's not getting healed from your ult after that. There's no residual healing after that, which means that it is an offensive ult, but you still have to be extremely careful, because you are still extremely fucking squishy. It is not an ult designed to survive, it's an ult meant to attack. The problem with his ult is meant to attack, and you can also survive. Get rid of the survivability aspect. And the next part, get rid of the ult increase. So like, you can't just run Gambit or Loki and then like they just subsidize each other's ult charge. Nah, you got to get rid of that, and then you can keep the other things. Maybe tone down the jump. I think it's a 50% jump increase. Maybe making that a 25%. And then the speed boost, you could probably keep that at 40%, and then everything else stay the same. And I think it would probably be fine. Those are really and truly like the two things, like, or I guess the 4 adjustments they could make to ult. I mean, at that point, you can make it 10 seconds and have it be like an extremely offensive ult that's meant to, like, you know, go on for forever, and you're meant to kill your opponents when you use it. But like I say, it makes it so like you still will just explode. Like, you just can't like be like, because the problem with it now, even with it only having, I think it's 65 healing a second, you can still pretty easily just kind of be like, fuck it, YOLO, we going in. Like, send it. Like, send it. Full Sail University, send it. Like, everybody go in! But, like, if you got rid of the residual healing and make it a one-time full heal, it would make it to where you still have to play together. I mean, people will just explode. But you don't get healing, which means that you, in turn, can also explode. it would essentially be like Rocket's amplifier. It would essentially work like Rocket's amplifier before they gave it like it gave you shield. But Rocket's amplifier gave you a 40% damage boost. It was massive. I mean, you didn't get a speed boost or a jump boost or an ultimate increase or a cleanse. You know, you didn't get all that. But like people were like, Rocket's so bad, his ult doesn't help survive. Even though his ult is still pretty fucking good, being able to just, you know, hey, you want to kill everyone? Well, here's a 40% damage boost, so you can do that. So yeah, I think those are pretty much like the only two solutions on how to nerf Gambit correctly, because his neutral, and just return is neutral, by the way. I think they should do that. It's just everyone said it. It's his ultimate, and they have not. They tried to tweak his ultimate without removing stuff. There's only two options. You either have to make his ultimate incredibly short, or you have to remove the survivability aspect of it. So the healing needs to go, the jump speed or the jump height needs to be reduced, the speed can stay the same, the ult charge increase needs to go, and then it's a one-time heal, and after that. So yeah, I think these are the two nerfs. If they gave either one to Gambit ult, it would be a significant enough where he want to get permabanned, which would then in turn make Rogue better, because Rogue is so fucking busted with Gambit team up. Like, Rogue with Gambit team up is vile. It's borderline a war crime. Like, Rogue with Gambit team up is one of the best tanks in the game. Rogue without the Gambit team up, she's like fine. Like, you want to talk about a team up merchant, sweet man. And Mag with Gambit team up gets his ult charge so fast. Mag without it gets it so slow. Like, oh, there's so many characters that are dependent upon that team up. And like I said, the Rogue Gambit team up is probably going to be in the game for another 3 months. I mean, that Phoenix Wolverine fucking team up's been in the game for, at this point, 9 months? 9? When did she come out? July? Yeah, she came out in August, didn't she? So no, it's been in the game for 6 months. Like it's been whatever. It's been in the game way too fucking long. So, but like the Gambit Rogue team up, I think is gonna be in the game for a minute, as long with Magneto. Problem is Gambit gets permabanned, so like this is how you properly nerf them, netties. I apologize, but it's just kind of like this is how you nerf them so that people can actually play this fucking character. Especially now that Elsa's been nerfed, so people aren't banning Elsa first every time. Now they're banning Gambit. So that's all I got. I'm gone.